Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is Sunday, and that means it is time for us to prepare for this coming week. That also means, of course, the Giants lost again. My misery is almost over with the Giants, but I am watching the New York Rangers, which are killing it. So any of the Rangers fans out there, it is very nice to be a Rangers fans right now. However, today, we're going to go ahead and review the futures. We're going to look at the NASDAQ, the ES, the Dow, get a feel for how this market has traded last week into the beginning of this year. And we're also going to look at 5 stocks that I am watching into 2022. 5 names that have really taken a hit due to some of the money that has flowed out of high growth names. And some of these names I think are getting a little bit oversold and in a position where I wouldn't mind picking up some shares or some longer term option contracts such as Leaps to go ahead and capitalize on a potential comeback into 2022. Of course, these are long-term ideas, plays that could sort of work out over the next year. Not something that I would go out and buy next week, but definitely 5 stocks that I would watch into next year. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone out there that supports this channel, that continues to come back and watch the videos. I hope you guys have a great trading year of 2022. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this. So press that like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay tuned for more, and make sure to press the bell down below so that you guys know every single time that I go live in the pre-market to do our pre-market live streams Monday through Friday starting at 8 a.m. All right, guys, so I want to go ahead and reiterate the 5 stocks that we will be looking at in today's video are going to be long-term ideas, stocks that could come back into 2022. These stocks are heavily sold off. They're quality names, but they got stuck in some of that sell-off on the high-growth names. The slide that we saw into end of year on those high-growth, high-multiple names, the money started to flow into those value names, into some of those consumer staples, sort of moving out of some of this high growth. And some of these names got stuck in that downside. However, if we see any shift back into growth in 2022 or further, which is still questionable as well, there's not a guarantee that we will see that money flow into high growth. But if we do, some of these names are definitely in a value situation, in my opinion, and I think they are good to at least keep an eye out for. So that is what we're going to focus on. I just wanted to make sure you guys understand the stocks and my sort of idea around why I'm showing you these names today. So if we go ahead and go into the charts, we're going to be looking at the futures contracts first. So here you guys go. Here on your screen, this is the NASDAQ. This is the NASDAQ futures contracts on the daily chart. So we always watch this, right? We always look at this futures contracts. We always make sure we know where the market is. And right now, you guys can see we did slip under that 16.4. The futures are trading right now as we speak, as it is 6:21 p.m. Eastern. So we did open on the futures market. If we go to the 5-minute chart, we can see the futures are slightly higher right now. Nothing crazy. Just opened about 20 minutes ago. We are slightly higher on the futures as we speak, just about 0.3%. However, if we go back to the daily chart, the real focus is what do we do on this retest of this 16.4, 16.3 area, right? You guys saw we pushed through that 16.4 resistance, pulled back over the last week, and we are now sitting at these previous highs. So if we go to, say, the 4-hour chart, we are definitely looking to see if this NASDAQ market wants to hold within this area, this zone of resistance that has been here for quite a while. Are we going to hold in this area come next week, right? Are we going to try to bounce out of this support area on the NASDAQ? I think that's going to be on a lot of our eyes to make sure we see what this market wants to do next week as we start trading in 2022. I was watching the 16.4 level. However, I do understand that it is more of a zone than an exact level. It is definitely more of the 16.350 to 16.4 area. You guys can see all within this little 50-point range. We definitely have previous resistance that could potentially turn to support. So that's my main watch into next week. Do we break out of this little downtrend that we have been in here on the NASDAQ? Do we start to find support at previous resistance? That is what we're going to have to watch out for. That is definitely going to be the main watch. On the ES, we can see the ES is also open as well. The futures are trading as we speak, and we are back above this 47.70 level. So the futures did pop back up. They are back above this 47.70, and this 47.70 on the ES is important because you have previous resistance previous support that has turned into resistance, and we need to see us close back above this 47.70 level. So the ES is in this range as well. It did pop below it from Thursday into Friday. However, if we go into the shorter term time frames, we can see that the ES is trying to break back above it as we speak here when the futures contracts are now open and trading. So 47.70 is the key level for me on the ES next week, 16.4 in the NASDAQ. And then if we go to the Dow and we zoom out to the daily chart, you guys can see we are just sort of rejecting that previous all-time high here on the Dow. Right here, you can see this little double top that formed last week. So we're definitely going to want to watch that 36.5 area here on the Dow. Do we try to hold up? In my opinion, I would love to see a little pullback to 36,000, little break and retest, hold this as support, and then push higher, right? Because we can clearly see this was previous resistance that I would love to see turn into support here on the Dow. So to start 2022, I think the futures are in a good spot. We've definitely seen a little bit of weakness last week on tech as we started to slip over the last 4 days of the week. End of year, low volume, sideways price action. Not going to make me, try to make big assumptions on what this market does. Just a little bit of sideways action last week. Not going to scare me out of this. But here on the Dow, 36,000 as support. On the ES, I think 47.70 is a big level. And then on the NASDAQ, this 16.4 to 16.350 is my big level here on the NASDAQ. So that's a little bit of an idea on the futures, guys. If you want to stay tuned for more every single day, make sure to come hang out in the pre-market live streams where we do this analysis every morning, get an idea for where the futures are trading, what levels need to hold every single day, so we can sort of prepare and structure our trading days around those futures levels. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the 5 names that I want to talk about in today's video. All right, guys, so number 1, the first stock that I am very interested into 2022, it's going to have to be PayPal. PayPal has sold off quite a bit off its highs. If we look at where the highs were at 310 to where we are now, we are sold off about 40 to 45%, a pretty decent, sizable sell-off on a quality name like PayPal. Now, I don't think anyone would disagree that this was a pretty overextended move on PayPal. This is the weekly chart. Just to reiterate that, the weekly chart, which means every candle on your screen is a week of price action. So starting back in March of 2020, we went on a huge run from $82 a share to $310 a share. Monster run. Pullback is probably warranted, but I think that pullback is starting to slow down. I think the selling pressure is starting to slow down. You can see over the last 4 to 5 weeks, we have definitely started to find a little support here in this 180 area. Now, this area also coincides with a very nice previous support area, right? So we had this previous support here right around this 180 level on PayPal back in July of 2020, September of 2020, and November of 2020. We had that little triple bottom here, and when we pulled back right back to that level here at 180. So is PayPal a stock that I want to watch off this 180 support level that ages back to 2020? Absolutely. I want to see, does it start to rebound off this 180, and do we start to find some positivity into 2022? Fintech has been a tough sector. Fintech stocks like Square, PayPal, Affirm, Upstart, SoFi have had a lot of trouble lately. Now, I know they're not all the same type of business. I would still sort of group them into the fintech area, and they are all pretty sold off. They've all had a hard time over the last 6 months of this market. However, it's a stock that I want to watch into 2022. We are trading below the 20, the 50, and 100 SMA on the weekly chart, and that provides a little bit of value to me. We are not quite at the 200 on the weekly. That is a pretty deep sell-off back down to there. From the highs, that would be about a 50% drop on PayPal, which I think is a little bit too much, even with how oversold this name is. How overbought this name was up here at 310. If we go to the daily chart, we'll break this down a little bit more. We go to the daily chart. If we go to January 1st, we can see, guys, this stock is actually red on the year. PayPal is finishing red for 2021. This stock from January 1st, the first trading day, it was January 4th, to now, we are down. It looks like PayPal is going to finish down about 18% this year. So this stock is red on the year. Here's the daily chart. You can see pulling back to that 180 area, finding some pretty nice support in this 180 area that we just looked at on the weekly chart. And you can see over the last, let's say, from December to now, so over the last month, this stock has definitely showed some signs of a slowdown of the selling. So for me, I want to see 200 break. That's my key for PayPal. I'm waiting for this 200 level to break out. And if I see that, that is when I may take some action on some leaps or add this heavily to my long-term portfolio with shares. So that's number 1. I believe PayPal is a stock that will be around into the future. That's one of the main questions I ask myself. Do I think PayPal is here in 5 to 10 years? I believe they will be. Of course, I'm not going to go ahead and put all my money in one basket here on PayPal, but this is the number one stock that I am watching into 2022 to see if there is any comeback on this name. Of course, we're going to want to see NASDAQ strength. We're going to want to see money flow into some of these growth names. We're going to want to see some love on the fintech sector. Those are things that we're going to need to see this comeback, but it's something that is on my watch list and something that I am definitely monitoring into 2022. The next one has to be Disney. Disney is another name that has been sold off here, and I think it's about time that it starts to creep back. If we go to the weekly chart, I absolutely love this weekly chart. Here's the weekly chart on Disney, and what you guys are going to be looking at is a pullback that has come back right to this 145 area. This 145, 150 area has historically been a very strong level. You can see previously some very strong resistance back here in December of 2020. And as we pulled back over the last earnings report, we have pulled back right to that 145 level. So as of right now, we can clearly see that that support is clearly coming in. Over the last 2 weeks, Disney has definitely shown itself to start bouncing off this 145. Also right here at this 100 SMA on the weekly chart. If we drop down to the daily, what we're going to be looking at is a very nice little double bottom here at 145, 150. Right here, we can see that little double bottom that formed at that previous resistance, turning it into support. Very nice. And last week, we actually made a higher high. So right here, guys, we can see that we made a higher high. This is a higher low, 1, 2, higher low. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. And then this was a previous high right here. And we made a higher high last week. So higher lows, higher highs, that's the form of an uptrend. That's a form of a reversal. And that's something I am definitely going to be watching. Now, of course, Disney could sort of move higher on a trend, which means maybe this needs to pull back to this trend line and then start to sort of work itself on this trend line. That's absolutely possible. So is this a stock that I would, try to scalp next week for, another big move? Probably not. It definitely has already made a pretty nice move over the last week. However, is this a stock that I would be looking to maybe add to a long-term portfolio, to buy some potential leaps on? Absolutely. I think Disney over time will work its way back up towards this 169, 170, which is where this previous resistance was back from November of this year. I think you slowly work your way up on this trend line, sort of back up towards this 170 area, right? This is sort of what I'm thinking Disney wants to do. Once you get up to this 170, that's, the question mark. Do we break through this previous support? Does it turn into resistance here on Disney? Either way, I think Disney is a stock that it will be around in 5 to 10 years. Absolutely. I think that's a very easy question to answer. Do I think this sell-off is a little bit steep? Yes, I know the earnings were a little bit questionable. The growth on Disney Plus was a little bit questionable. Parks are always in question due to the virus. I think that blows over. I think Disney Plus finds its way. I think it's going to be a big year for Disney, and this is why I think it's a great time to be watching this stock for long-term, for options. I'm not focusing on what's happening next week. I'm focusing on what's happening in 6 months, in 12 months. That's my focus here, and Disney is definitely one that I want to be watching. Number 3 is CRM. CRM, a stock that I really love where it is on the weekly chart and on the daily chart. Why do I say that? Here's CRM. We can see it had a good year, a nice push higher this year, and we have pulled back from the highs just about 20% since the last earnings report. So we pulled back about 20%, and we are back at this 250 level. This 250 level is a level that I am very closely watching here into next year. Why? What we can see here is that we had previous resistance, and we are turning that into support here on CRM. Now, I'm not quite ready to take a play on this, as it is not in an uptrend yet. It is not forming any type of bullish formation, but this is a stock that I think is quality. I think it's a nice sell-off into the end of this year, and I think there is positivity into next year off this 250 level. So this is the third one. This is another one that I will be watching. What I want to see on CRM is I want to see a break above. I honestly want to see a break above this 270. That would be where I'd be very confident in a push higher. Something like this, a break of this previous resistance here at 270, a hold into support, and then I play this thing back to the upside. So right now, I would not say, not a position where I would be taking a play. However, I'm watching this 250 area. CRM has sold off, a quality name that I think will be around, and another one that I am definitely watching into 2022 off of this 20% pullback, and it's at the 200 SMA on the daily chart. Historically, buying names at the 200 SMA on the daily chart is a area of value, and I think that is a potential play here off of CRM, the 200 SMA. Next, we have Adobe. Adobe, one that has sold off heavily off of earnings, and it is also sitting at a very key structure point. Now, what I will say, I would rather pick up Adobe. I'll show you guys real quick. I would rather pick up Adobe back here at 508, this 508, the 500 area. Why do I say that? Look at all this previous resistance that I think will turn into very strong support if we come down to this 500 area. I think that will be a very nice break and retest. However, I think Adobe is not going to pull back to that 500 because I believe that it will hold this 50 SMA in the weekly, and I also believe that it is trying to hold this very important daily chart level. So right here around this, right around this 557, 560 area, I believe is where Adobe is trying to hold up here, here on the daily chart. So you have this little bottom here at 560, which was a previous earnings level right around here. And you can see we definitely found some support once again at this 560 area on Adobe. Now, you can see over the last few days, been a little bit weak. Not something that I am watching into next week. However, it is something that I'm looking to see if it can hold this 560 into 2022 over the next few months. Can we start to push off this 560, start to make a bullish formation, start to pull back higher? Adobe got hurt off earnings, and from its highs, it went down about 22%, and right now down about 19%. So what I want to see here on Adobe, guys, for upside is a little bit of a bullish formation to form and a break above this 200 SMA. You can clearly see this 200 SMA came into play this week. We pushed into that 200, rejected it very harshly on the daily chart. I need to see a break above this little 580 and 200 SMA, get a little bit of an uptrend forming, and then we start to see if this thing can catch some steam into next year. So Adobe, another one that sold off about 20% going into 2022, a stock that I think is very interesting here. Sort of got stuck in the, the money flowing out of these high growth names, a lot of software names, a lot of money flowing out of them into some of those consumer staples, some of those value names. Does the money flow back into Adobe next year? Another one that I am watching. The last and final one, which is the most speculative one, but another one that I must be watching, and that is Roblox. Roblox, another stock, high growth, a little bit of, speculative, how well will they do? A speculative name, but a stock that I want to be watching into next year. Metaverse, how does the game perform? Does the daily active users increase into 2022? Does this game get more popular? If it does, I think next year could be a very nice move for Roblox. We're holding a pretty nice little triple bottom here. I am aware of the possibility of Roblox pulling back into this gap fill area. I know a lot of people have been watching this gap fill area on Roblox back down to around 80. However, as of right now, you can see Roblox is definitely holding this 100 SMA, and it is definitely holding this 92, 95 area, bouncing off of it last week. So right now, it's not looking like a grand slam home run bullish move on the technicals. However, it's a stock that I want to be watching. I want to see it get above this 103 area. It's been very tough to get above this 103 area. If it does, I think Roblox moves higher. And we all know Nancy Pelosi bought some of it. That I'm not making my investment decisions off that. However, if she sees something in it, historically, somehow she's been always right. So I like it too. I'm not going to base my decisions off what she does. But I do like this 92 area hold on Roblox. Little triple bottom. Does this stock get some momentum into 2022? Does the high growth names like Roblox get some money flowing back into it? If we do see that rotation back into some of that high growth, I think Roblox is one that will definitely benefit from that. We need to be aware of, daily active users on Roblox, the growth of their company, the growth of their game. That's going to be key. Let's see what happens for 2022 for Roblox, another stock that I am definitely watching here into next year. I'm going to do one more as a bonus stock, another stock that is in this sort of similar space, speculative, but in this sort of gaming metaverse space. That's Unity Software. Unity Software, another stock that I am definitely watching here. I do not like the resistance that is forming right now at 147. You guys can clearly see this little previous support turning into resistance right here on Unity. So I am concerned and I am aware of that right now. However, the longer term idea for Unity, I think this stock has a lot of people using their software. A lot of people are adapting to this engine, this software engine for gaming. I think it's very interesting. It's a stock that I want to be watching, a stock that could really be involved with a lot of these future games, future metaverse, projects. Unity, a stock that has pushed higher. We clearly saw that momentum push. We pulled back. We're sitting on a pretty nice uptrend right now from the lows here that I am definitely watching. We just need to see a break above this 147, 150, and we need to see that money flow back into high growth next year. And I think Unity software definitely gets a little bit of momentum. Now, the last two names that I talked about were very speculative. However, PayPal, Disney, and CRM and Adobe, those four I think are a little bit more solid. Stocks that have, solid business models that have been proven. Unity and Roblox, a little bit more speculative, but definitely still worth watching into next year. So that's what I have, guys. There's plenty of other names. Stocks like SE is heavily sold off. Square is heavily sold off. A lot of these fintech names, high growth names are sold off. What we need to really monitor into 2022, guys, get your list of stocks that you want to watch this year. Get your list of stocks that are sold off, that have been unfavorable for the market rotation, and watch those names into this year. See how this market rotates. See what this year brings. Find some names that you think are in a good value area. That's what I'm doing right now. Finding what stocks I want to start to nibble on into 2022, into my long-term portfolio. Here is an inside look of some of the stocks that I'm watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to comment down below which stocks you are watching for 2022. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to collaborate with you. Drop them down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's go ahead and wrap up this video. All right, guys, so that is what I have for you in today's video. 5 names that I am watching into 2022. I'm not saying that these are ready for investments next week. I think these are names that you put on a watch list, that you watch over the next few months. Do they start to get some love? Do we see some money flow back into high growth? If we do see that, I think these 5 names will perform very nicely if the money starts to flow back into that sector. Now, if 2022 is all about value, all about those consumer staples, all about stocks that are not high growth, high yield, tech stocks, if we do not see that rotation, then these names could continue lower. We might see stocks like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Visa, MasterCard, Home Depot, some of the retailers. Those names, maybe those are the ones that are hot for 2022, but no one knows that yet. We can't guess the future. We just need to watch how the market rotates into 2022. That is that's the biggest thing that I'm going to be monitoring, and the biggest thing that will decide which stocks I go heavy on this year, how I sort of move around my long-term portfolio. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you enjoyed the education, some of the technicals. If you did, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to drop comments down below of what stocks you are watching into 2022. Make sure to press the bell down below so that you guys come and hang out in the live streams every single day from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, preparing you for the market day. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.